What's going on, everyone? This is Trevor here for RSG, and there's a question that always gets asked in the PC community. I get it asked on my videos, and I've had it asked by friends, and that is, should you, or they usually say should I, but should you upgrade your PC? Well, let's talk about that. This is going to be a video, I'll make it as quick as I possibly can. This is a video about should you upgrade it. Now, what you should upgrade it to, should you upgrade it? Just so we get that clear. Because what you should upgrade to is total. There's so many factors. I'm not even going to get into that really. What we're going to talk about is if you need to upgrade. Well, really, the first thing to start out with, if you need to upgrade, is what do you need to do? So, are you like me? Do you edit videos? Do you edit videos? Simple one to start with. So, video editing. All right, and then you got things to factor in with if you're video editing. Are you doing 1080p, or 4K? What are you doing? That's a big factor right there. That could really increase on the CPU side of things. That could really make CPU have to run rampant. Now, when you're video editing, you're going to need CPU and GPU. So. Not that you don't in the other factors, but now when it comes to CPU, on a consumer level, the CPU gets used the most, and even on a professional level, the CPU is going to be your most, or it's going to always ramp up to 100%. So when you're video editing, you can expect it to be at 100%. Okay, so that's going to be now 4K. Is going to be partnered with CPU usage. So, it's going to be harder CPU and harder GPU because what it takes to render 4K is a lot more than the 1080p. It just is. Okay? So, you got to play into factor of that. How many animations are you going to have? Now, when I say animations, I'm talking about, am I going to have a star pop up on my screen or have something pop up on there, for instance, am I going to have my Twitter thing pop up here where you see it and you can follow that, and then there's going to be a little ding that goes in there too, as you heard when I did that, and that's more that goes into, and that's just sounds, but that goes into, everything. Sounds aren't as crazy as visuals, but then you have also special effects. Now, I'm not good on the special effects side. The most I've done in special effects, because I'm not the best, is green screens. I have to learn more. Maybe I'm not that creative to put special effects in. I don't know. Regardless, I'm here to tell you what you need to know. So if you're going to do animation special effects, that's going to also lead to more CPU and GPU. So really, what are you doing? How much are you doing? Are you making simple videos like me, kind of? Mine are somewhat have some stuff to them, but I don't have crazy... that one where you saw the dad did it where the kid's walking on lava and he's swinging across, he did all these 3D things. That takes some serious stuff. You don't just have a crap computer for that. So you have something serious to do all that stuff. Length is also a factor, that plays into all that, to go into there. So there is a lot that factors into editing. But how strong you need your computer to be, that's totally on what you're doing on there. But, what are you doing with your computer to know if you need to upgrade it? Is it taking really long time to render? Do you have a low-end computer and you're thinking about creating videos? So if you do, well, then you definitely need to upgrade. If it's taking forever to render, well, then it's time to upgrade. There's things like that. We're done with the video editing side of things. Let's go to the one that I know you all care about because, people in the video editing side, they basically already kind of know what they're up against. Gaming, I don't think a lot of people know what they're up against with gaming. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on to gaming. Now, you could probably say, yeah, but they need CPU and GPU, and all those too. What are you talking about? Well, yes, but they range in different factors. Another factor that wasn't really brought up is RAM. And you know what? It's not going to be brought up more than this. Here's as simple as I'm going to make RAM. RAM. If you have 8 gigabytes, get rid of it. Well, not get rid of it. Double it. You need 16 gigabytes. It's 2018. Get your ass 16 gigs of RAM. Stop procrastinating. You're going to need it one way or another. I'll explain that once we go into the Cyberpunk 2077 details. That's right. Okay, so 16 gigs of RAM. Just do it. Don't argue. Just do it. Okay, there's a lot of other things you could just argue about, upgrading, whatnot. Okay, let's talk about gaming, though. So when you talk about gaming, okay, now if we talk about something that's CPU bound games are going to be your, tycoons. Okay? Building games. And RPGs with mods. Because just RPGs alone don't always do it in the factor of that. Here's the other part, though. When you're gaming, a lot of people like to stream. So if you're going to like to stream, well, streaming and CPU go hand in hand. That's for damn sure. So anytime you're going to stream, you're going to be adding to whatever game you're playing with CPU usage. Stream will add CPU. It will always. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Things like OBS Studio have helped take that down and not be so drastic. And if you are going to stream, make sure you do use OBS because OBS is the bomb. Remember that. It's free, open source broadcasting software, I think it's called. Open broadcasting software. Anyways, it's open sourced. People are always working into it. It's great. I love it. But tycoons, building games, RPGs with mods, they're all going to be CPU bound. But RPGs with mods takes a turn into the GPU bound. So something that would be more on the CPU bound side for tycoons and stuff and building would be cities, skylines. Something like this would be Skyrim. Okay? But now we go farther into this. So RPGs with mods, especially if you're streaming, you're going to need some serious power going on with the CPU power and definitely with the GPU power. The GPU power, it really comes into now if you're doing, if we're doing like GPU, right, that's going to be more in your RPGs, FPS, I believe racing is that too, because racing could be CPU, but I never really had too much of an issue with that. But especially with the nice graphics, that's a factor. I think you might start catching into the CPU a little bit, as some of these racing games because of the physics that are involved. But there's not a lot of stuff. It's usually a track, maybe some people in the crowd, and some signage. So the physics side of things in the racing isn't really there. It's going to be more on the GPU side of things because it's going to have graphics and stuff that are really, needing, to push that GPU. But then, so I don't really need to get into, what RPGs are. The Witcher, The Witcher 3. That's a tough one to run, but like for instance, like Far Cry, okay, Far Cry, you could literally you could stream without a problem as long as you have a strong GPU. That's really going to be the carrier of that right there. Same thing with the racing, okay. But now we get into something that just kind of takes it both and just says, I'm just going to eat up whatever I can, and that is Planet Coaster. Okay, so Planet Coaster. Even though whatever the requirements were, it's still, it's a game that no matter what the requirements are, you just need to know that you're going to need a beast. You just need the beast of the beast of the beast to really get down to this thing. Because, like, for instance, Planet Coaster is awesome. Lets you do a lot of stuff. But, I mean, even with my 6700K and a 1070, once that part started getting a little on the big side, and especially since I'm streaming, but even without streaming, once that side started getting on a little bit of the big side, that Planet Coaster was just tearing up CPU and GPU. And that the reason why it was tearing up so much is because all the physics it has to do for all the people in the park. Then it has, let's see, you have the people in the park, you have the food stands, you have balloons and things like that that are floating around. You have the rides that are always constantly moving, especially if you back up farther so you can see more stuff. You know, there's people puking. There's all types of stuff that factors into, you know, it really taking a bunch out of that CPU and making it really work hard. And then the GPU side of it comes in because the game just looks absolutely stunning. It looks beautiful. And granted, I think you'll need a stronger CPU for sure than a GPU in that, but they both can't be shy, really. They need to just power away. All right? So now if you're playing something like CSGO, where it's got crap graphics, it doesn't have a lot of physics to it, hell, you don't need a top-of-the-line system. If you're playing games that are like, you know, equivalent to what you'd find on Facebook gaming, you don't need a top-of-the-line system. If you're doing the stuff I'm talking about here, that's when you're going to start needing to pay attention to factors of what you need to upgrade. Like I said, if you're not at 16 gigs of RAM, just upgrade that anyways. And don't even factor any of the things I talked about. Just upgrade it because I'm telling you, and you should blindly just trust anyone. But anyways, so I really do, though, I do say 16 gigs. You might as well just get with the times. It's 2018. Just put 16 gigs in. I think I've really touched on everything I need to for the other games. Let's go into the last game I want to talk about, and that's Cyberpunk 2077. It's a game that is not currently out, and we're going to be talking about its system requirements. So, hold on a sec. So let's talk about a game that I know many are anticipating, and this will help you kind of know maybe if you want to upgrade or need to upgrade your computer. I think this is the final explanation I'll need to give, and that's Cyberpunk 2077. A game, like I said, many are anticipating and a lot are excited about. And we all know that, especially with its open world, it's going to be a resource hog to some degree. Well, let's look at their minimum requirements are an i5 2500K at 3.3 gigahertz. Now, they recommend an i5 4670K, which runs at 3.4 gigahertz, which is very similar to an i5 3570K, which also, I think, runs at 3.4 gigahertz. So if you have either one of those, you're basically at the recommended. Even though the 4670 is slightly better, it's so minuscule in my opinion. I mean, maybe people have different opinions on it. In my opinion, it's so minuscule. If you have a 3570K, you're actually probably pretty good. Now, I don't know how that's going to run on the streaming side because I haven't gotten to see how it affects the CPU. CPU is really easy to know if you need to upgrade it because it'll run sluggish, and then you'll Control-Alt-Delete and notice that you're pinned out. And at that point, you know you need to upgrade, and it's just plain simple. The GPU can be a little tougher, though, to really know if it's exactly pinned out. I mean, you can have, you know, the Afterburner or whatever you've got running to tell you the temps and see what it's running at. And, you know, it will show you the usage. So I guess you can see as well, just as easy in a sense, how much your GPU's tapped out. But to know what to go to, that's a different story. And that's what we're going to talk about here. So they say on the AMD side, you either want an FX 8320 on the minimum, which, I mean, you know the FX series. They focused more on cores than they did clock speed, which hurt them because the gaming companies were all about the clock speeds and didn't care about cores, which is why on Cyberpunk 2077, the recommended is still a 4-core chip. Okay? So, the FX 8320, I'm pretty sure all that was 8-core chips. That might have been a 6-core. I can't remember because I don't follow AMD like that. But regardless, that's what they're recommending on the CPU side. Now, it is an RPG, and it's going to be open world. I guess, is that a role-playing game? I don't know if that, I guess it falls in the category. I don't know what you call it. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that'd be an RPG. And that is going to be pretty big on this. Like I said, I don't know how the streaming, but I'm pretty sure this would handle it. The only time I ever had to upgrade my 3570K is what I have a 6700K now, is because Cities Skylines just obliterated it. Just obliterated it. And, you know, with streaming and everything, I was just like, okay, we need to upgrade. But I don't think that's going to be the problem so much with Cyberpunk 2077. Maybe it is, not sure. So they say you can also get an R5 1600. Great processor as well. That's where I will give it up to AMD. It's pretty nice on their side. But now here's the point I was trying to tell you. 8 gigs is the minimum. 8 gigs is the minimum requirement for RAM. So what did I tell you about putting 16 in? Because that's the recommended. Put 16 or more. You should. Just it's 2018. 8 gigs of RAM is just too old anymore. And just when people tell you they can do budget builds on it, just stop listening to them. Just take some money out of somewhere else and get 16 gigs of RAM. Just stop procrastinating or whatever you're doing. Just stop. Okay? Here's the part I have a problem with, though. Their recommended is a GTX 1060 or an RX 470. Well, what the hell. But that's going to maybe give you high graphics. Maybe the setting for high. You're damn sure not putting it on ultra. It's not going on ultra on that. No, no, no. And let me tell you, if you want to really max out your graphics, that's when you're going to need to spend a lot on that GPU. You're going to need that 1080 Ti or that 2070 or that 2080 or that 2080 Ti. You're going to need those. Okay? That's the stuff that if you want to max out all these settings, you're going to need to do. And that still might not really affect that i5 4670K. It still might not. I'd have to see, but it still might not. Streaming is the one thing I'm just not sure on with that. But on the GPU side, to say 1060 is recommended, I would say at least a 1070 is recommended. You know, that's what I got, and I'm sure I'm not going to be able to max out all this stuff. So that right there is my problem that I have with the recommended. The minimum is fine because that's telling me what you need to just run the damn thing, even if it looks like shit. Okay? But overall, this is the part I have a problem with. I think they should have recommended a higher GPU to deal with that. Because knowing how things go in the past, I could tell you that that's going to be a factor more. But that's it. That's simple as that. It all depends on what you're playing, what you're doing, what kind of graphics you're into, how strong you want this thing to run. That's where you're going to do it. That's where you're going to need to know if you need to upgrade it. If you're sticking to the stuff you've been doing and you haven't noticed a problem, well, guess what? Don't upgrade. Simple as that. I hope I helped you out, and well, that's really all I have to say. Thanks for watching my video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it and you want to see more, gotta make sure that you subscribe. Help me out by liking, sharing, comment down below. You know you want to. You want to get that interaction, so comment, and make sure you follow Twitter at ReadySetGame87. This way you can see what I'm up to and what's going on. For all those who like watching my videos, I'll see you next time.